Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to our office hour today. Thank you to those who joined yesterday for the live, for the interactive test session. I believe that we were able to learn some things yesterday. I know for one that I learned. I learned something new about the new state of navigations, and I hope we all did learn something from yesterday's session. So today we're just going to go over the task for the week, which is to build a contacts app. I opened the task before, but for some reason I've lost it. Please give me a minute. Okay, I found it. So right now what we're seeing is just a carryover from yesterday's session. We just handled, we built two screens and we just did a basic navigation. So we're going to leave this screen as it is. Going to leave the screen as it is, and yeah, I'm just going to paste task here. So it says we should build a contacts app using custom fonts, add images to each of your contacts, and display contacts using data models. So let's see how far we can go in today's session, right? So the first thing I would like to do before I get started is to add my assets. Is to add my assets. I'm not going to have multiple pictures for this session. I'm just going to use one default image. I was able to find one. I was able to find some image or icon, preferably, that I can use. So I'm just going to, in here, in our code base, I'm going to create a folder and name it assets. Inside of assets, we just want one folder for fonts, and then another. Do we need to create another since it's just one image? So let's just, I'm going to pass in the icon inside of assets like so. Then also let me add fonts. The font would use is Noto Sans. It's just a new font that I added, so there's no particular reason why I decided to use this font. It's just a recent addition to my fonts collection, so I'm just going to add that to this one. I would add some of the files, not all, just so we don't take so much time. Which other? Let's do medium. regular. Yeah, I think that's enough. Yeah, so we've added our assets, we've added our fonts. Let's update our popspec.yaml file. Okay. Which file hasn't been saved? That keeps showing one. Oh, it's our main dot. Okay. This thing. Okay, I think it's best here. All right. We have our pop spec here. I have a slight preference. I like to clear all these things because it kind of makes the file look so. But before you do, it's also great if you read the comments that are in your popspec.yaml file. This kind of gives you an overview of what this the individual sections of this file, what it's about. So you can please read it. But I've read it a couple of times, so I think I can just take it out. Okay. So let's clear all that out. And then yeah. Okay. I think this is clean now. All right, so we're just going to uncomment this since it's already written for us here. And we're going to add assets. We have first the where is it? It's in assets and then fonts. Then we're going to add our fonts here. Let's uncomment this as well. The family that we're using is called Noto Sans. And we have it inside of assets, fonts. Just going to take all this out. We're not doing anything extra. We'll change this to Noto Sans. We have the regular. Okay, so let's copy this. So we have black, we have bold, we have medium. This is in line with all the files I added here in the font folder. I'm just adding these assets to our pop spec so that we can easily access them within our application. Then we save that and it's going to run a pop get. And I think that should be okay. All right, let's take this out too. I'm not sure. Okay. So we've added our fonts, we've added our assets, which is this icon. So something else that we would like to do, let's rename, how many screens do we need here? Let's just start with one screen, which is the contact screen. I said I was going to find a design, but I wasn't able to get something. I wasn't able to get a right design for this class. So we're going to just have to build from scratch. We're going to just have to build something. Whichever way it comes out, would manage it that way. Right. Okay, so just so that we have just so that we have some sort of organization, even though it's a practice app, just so we have that organization, let's just create a folder here and call it shared, right? Inside of this folder, the only thing we want to have going on in here is to store whatever, if it's a shared widget or if it's constants, whichever thing that we'd most likely be able to use across our different files. We just want to create them here for the sake of, but simply for the sake of organization. So let's first create a constants file. What else would we need? Can everyone hear me? Okay, I think I caught up there for a little bit. So the thing we're just going to have really just first, let's create a constant for our user icon. This is just for quick access to the assets. And then we have user icon dot png. Then we could also, okay, let's do that much later. So yeah, we have constants. Maybe we should just store everything here, including, okay, we'll access our colors inside of the file. What else do we need to add that I'm forgetting? Okay, would handle them as they come. We just have to clear all that we have going on in this screen because we'll not be using it. So let's clear from here. Ideally, we want to have a screen that has different sections for each of our contacts. Maybe I should just use the design for, I can't remember how Android, I can't remember how Android, the contacts page for the Android device looks like, but I guess we could recreate that of iOS. Very, very simply, we could But the iOS doesn't have space for image. Okay, let's just come up with something off the top. I'll just come up with something off the top of my head. So first, we want to have a container. And then inside of the container, let's just have our column right here. That's going to take the our widgets for the contacts. We're using a container because I would like to access the padding property, and the sized box doesn't have that. So, and instead of, and would also, I'll probably want to do something extra. I don't know. If there's no point, if all I need is the padding, I'm going to just change this widget into a padding. But for now, I think I might need to access some extra properties of the container. If I don't, then we'll switch to padding. So we want to add a padding to the horizontal axis and maybe give it 16. And then what else might we need? Okay. So inside of our column, let's build the basic contacts view. Right. So before we actually make this column, let's just use a, let's switch this to padding and have a container inside of it. Let's just build our singular contact widget first. So what we want inside of our container is we want to first of all have a space for the image, we want to have space for the contact name and the number. So for that we'll need a row and a column. So let's add a row here. The first side of the row is going to be the image. So let's bring in our image. Let's bring in our image first. Yes. We'll actually need to restart our app because we added this image. We added this file after we built the application. So yeah, let's rebuild very quickly. So while that's going on, we're just going to keep building our UI. So first we have the image. The next thing we want to add is our user, the name of the contact and the number. So we'd need a column here because we want to stack those individual items vertically. So we're just going to use a column, and then we'll have a text widgets that has that's strange. Sorry about that. I forgot to add the path for the assets. Hence, it wasn't recognizing the user icon PNG that I added here in the assets folder. So adding that path gives us access to the assets inside of it. And since we did add it before, we couldn't recognize it. Sorry, that was my mistake. right? So we have the image. Then here we just want to have a name. As usual, I'm going to use Abbie. And would have another text widget that takes in the phone number. I think this is complete. 369. Yeah, there we go. Okay. It's all the way down here. Okay. We are going to style this now, but this is pretty much the basics of our widgets. But let's style this one after the other. Okay, so first off, we want to give our container a size. We want to give it a height, and we also want to okay, I think we can do away with the width, but we want to give it a height. Let's say a height of 120. I think that should be okay. Yeah, I think that should be okay. Oops. I'm just trying to align this, sorry. Okay, so we'll give it a height of 120. And then we want to scale this, our image, to look smaller. So let's just scale it down to, okay, that's too small. Is that too small? Is that even okay? It's not increasing. Well, I think that's okay. So let's scale it down to 2, reduce the size, and then we'll start with our alignments. So first we want to, our main axis in this case is the horizontal axis. We want our items in the vertical axis to be aligned to the center, right? And then for, okay, I hear you, we're coming, we're going to adjust it. Then we also want our main axis. I think our main axis should be auto-centered to, should be auto, okay, it's in the start. Let's just leave that for now. Then we want to give appropriate space between the image and our text. So let's just add a size box right here and give it a width, because this is in the row, is in the row, is in the horizontal axis. So if you're giving space between both widgets, then you'd have to use a width and not a height. Height would be if you're dealing with a column, and width would be if you're dealing with the row. So here we just want to give it that 10. Still a shocker why this guy is all the way up here. So let's try to fix that. Let's see which of our solutions work. Oh yeah, another thing I want to do for the column is to align our widgets to the left so that they're on the same side. So they're on the same side. Then now let's figure out what's going on with our image. I think I ran the widget inspector before, but I can't remember what I saw. So let's do that again. Okay. Let me try. Let me first try the alignments inside of our container and center it and see what happens. Okay, that didn't work. And then if I were to wrap this entire guy inside of a center, or in an alignment rather, and then align it to the top left, maybe. Okay, that align the widgets. All right, great. Then we want to add a little bit of decoration to the container. Let me check the comments and be sure we're together. Okay. All right, so I want to add a little bit of decoration here. And should we make the background color black and just play around with white? I'm very tempted to do that, or have a white background and then play around with black. Let's see. Let's see which one looks better. And then if we change the color to white, oh, this, I can already see this app looking really ugly. So let's use a blue gray. Or let's see. Okay, let's just leave it at white. And then let's give this a color of blue gray. Maybe we should give it a slight opacity of okay. Then what else can we do in here? We could also add a border radius. Circular. We also add a border radius. We could also add a bit of padding inside of I think the height of this container is actually a lot. So let's reduce it slightly. Okay, then we'll add a bit of padding inside of our container. Let's just copy this because we want to give it a horizontal padding, and we also want to give it a vertical padding. So the horizontal padding we've given it now is 16, and then the vertical padding we want to give it, let's also, well, if we're going to do 16 all around, then we might as well just use all. And we have it like so. Then for visibility, I think we can change the color of our text. We can change the color of our text. Okay, so this is pretty much the basics of what we're going to do. Okay, so maybe additionally we could add some extra stuff, but for now this is just going to be our basic contacts widgets, right? That has this image, that has the contact's name and the contact's phone number. We could also add a little bit of space between the name and the phone number, just a very tiny bit of space. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of things now. First, I'm going to take out this widget and convert it into a reusable widget, so we don't have to copy and paste this all the time whenever we want to create a new contact. I'm just going to make a couple of widgets in here reusable. So I'm going to cut this out now. I'm going to cut that out and come here into our shared and create a new folder for widgets. So this is going to be the contacts widgets. and would make it a stateless contacts widgets. So we're just going to paste in all that we had in there. And then we import the material library. There's something still breaking. Okay, contacts. Yeah. So because it's a reusable widget, we want to be able to pass in the values whenever we get to use this widget. So what we'll do here is to create a constructor or add values to the constructor. We want to first of all have space for the contact name. And then we also want to have space for the contacts for the number. We're going to add them to the constructor like so. There's no need to make this nullable because we always want to have a value that passed into this widget. So we're just going to make both of them required. So the required keyword ensures that whenever you use an instance, whenever you use this widgets, you have to pass in these values. You have to pass in these values. You could also use a required keyword for functions as well as constructors. You know, the constructor acts very, very similar to a function. So whatever we do in here is also possible to do it with functions. So adding the required ensures that whenever we call the contact widget, we get to pass in these two values to our widgets. So we're just going to replace this with this here. And then we're also going to replace the number with this as well. Make this a constant. Right? So this is now reusable. I did mention that I wanted to change the color of this text widget, make it just give it a color that one can easily see. Maybe I don't know how white would look, but let's just give it a try. I want to do the same with the phone number, so just copy this. It's also very possible for you to make a reusable widget for your text so that you don't have to pass in the style value all the time. You just create a reusable widget where you probably need to pass in a color or a font size or a font weight or something, just so that you prevent yourself from constantly repeating certain parts of your code. All right, so let's come here now. We're going to call the contacts widgets. Oh, so many yelling, screaming in my ear. Okay, it's expected, it's showing red thing because it's expecting the contact name and the number, but we haven't passed anything to it. Oops. So we're just going to do just that. Pass in the number and the contact name. Let's just do Abbie. And then we'll do the phone number that we had before, 081 234 5678. Okay. Oh, this white doesn't look so good. I can barely see it. Maybe we can increase the font weight, make it bold. Does that help? Not really. Still not clear. Let's change the color to not black. This one's worse. This is always, see, we need to really give accolades to designers, because all these plenty colors thing going on, I can't even make a decision. Oh no, this was bad. Let's just use black, please, for my sanity. Let's just use black. Thank you. Yeah, we're just going to stick with that. We're just going to stick with that, please. Yeah, I thought to try some other color. Oh, this isn't bad. Oh, this isn't bad. I think we're going to use this one. This isn't bad at all. Okay, we're running out of time. So we're going to come back in here. We're done with our contacts widget, so we can close that. So inside of our constants, rather inside of our shared, let's create a model. Remember, our task said that we should build a contacts app using custom fonts or added fonts. Have we really added fonts though? Did I add the fonts to our main file? Did I add the fonts to our main.dots? No, I didn't. So, okay, let's just create a new file, name it theme.dot. And inside here, we simply just want to create the theme. We just want to add the theme for our app. Primarily just the fonts. So let's create the class, name it app theme. Then we want to have a static in here, which should be of type theme data, I believe. Yeah, so let's just have theme data here, theme data. And inside here, we want to add a font family. And our font family is Noto Sans. Where did we have that going on here? Okay, it's Noto Sans. Yeah, I think that's about it. We do not want to have anything extra, really. We do not want to have start styling, but no, we don't need anything extra. Let's just take this our app theme, come into our main.daf file. And inside of our material app, we want to add our theme here on the theme. I want to add our theme data. Okay. I think it's slightly changed. All right. So inside of our inside here, what do we need to do now? Just have contacts, add images to each of your contacts and speak contacts using data models. So let's also create another folder for our models. Here, we just want to create one for the contact. So contact model, it's supposed to be a very simple model, nothing too complicated. We just, in this case, we just want to have the name, want to have the number, and then we want to generate a constructor for this, like so. I like to have named arguments. So the only thing we'll do is just add a required field. So anytime I call this model, it's we need to pass in the name and the number. Now, instead of in our contact widgets, instead of having this, instead of rewriting this, what we can do is to return an instance of the contacts model. And then we pass it here. See that this made our code look a lot simpler instead of having to pass in those two details. We can just use a model. Now we'll replace this with the contact name, replace this with the contact number. All right. Let's go back into our contact screen, and contact widget is expecting this. Name and the number. Let's copy this, paste it here, copy this as well, paste it here. Then we take this out. And it's pretty much still going to be the same thing that we had before. Right, so now we want to duplicate this. We have fulfilled this part of the task of adding a font. We've achieved adding an image to our contact, and we've also achieved using a data model. So the next thing to do is to just create a list of all of these items and display multiple contacts. So we could also come into our constants file and create a list of contacts. Let's just duplicate this. How many we have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, this is going to be a lot to manipulate. So we have Abbie. Let's also do Shiki. Let's do Bell. Let's do JJ Love. Let's do Escoda. Let's do Olanio. Who else? Who else am I missing? Let's do Tabasoft. Let's do Chikere. Let's do Zuri. I'm running out of names. Let's also do Abdul Hafiz. Oops, wrong place. Here. Do we need to adjust the phone number? I think we're just going to leave that. We're going to leave that because that's going to take a while. Okay, so now we have a list of contacts. Then we'll come to our contact screen. Yeah, we're just going to cut this off. Now let's add a column to this because we're going to have multiple widgets. We can very easily use something called a list.generate. This is just going to generate as many times as we pass in as a length the yeah, it's just like how we have a for loop and we want it to loop maybe through 30 numbers or through a list of 40 items. So here we're going to pass in a length, and the list generate returns a widget, right? So you also have access to the index, and then we return the widget right here. So we want to return our contact widgets like we did before, but in this case, let's just manually add that one to generate it 5 times. So what we're going to see is our widgets distributed here 5 times. Okay, that doesn't look good. So we're going to go into our contacts widgets, and we're going to add a margin. Let's do margin just for the bottom, and we'll add a value of, what did we have before? Let's just do 16 as every other thing. So it just creates a space in between the widgets. At least, even if our app is not fine, it should look aligned. Okay, so inside of the contact screen, here we hard coded the length. We don't want it to be so. We want to use the value of the constants that we created here. So we're going to call this list of contacts. So we have constants dot list of contacts, and we want to access the length. This is looking too long. So we're going to just create a widget here and name it contacts and assign the list of contacts to it. Okay, I hear you. Then we're going to just call this contacts like so. Why is our main dot? Okay. All right, so remember we've updated this to the list of contacts that we have here. We have 10 here, and obviously it's going to overflow because our widgets, our screen isn't scrollable. We're going to handle that in a bit. But yeah, we want to use the length of contacts, and we also want to use the values inside of the list instead of these hard-coded values here. So we're going to change this to contacts, then we'll access the index and then the name. We'll do the same for the phone number. We'll access the index and the number. So if you do this, you see that all of our names changed accordingly, just the way we have it inside of the contacts file. Then the next thing to do is to fix this overflow error. And one way in which we can do that is to wrap our column in a scrollable widget. So we could use a single child scroll view, and that should handle the error right there. We could also change this and use a list view. You could use grid scroll. You could use, grid view, no, grid scroll. You could use any of the scrollable widgets that are available to you in Flutter. This is just usually my go-to. I'm not sure why exactly, maybe because this is how I started and I just kind of stuck with it. But usually I create a column and just wrap it in a single child scroll view. But there are also situations where you can use, in all of the situations of a scrollable widget, you can use a list view, you can use this, you can use whichever one fits your use case, you're free to use it. So yeah, here we have our very, 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 very ugly contacts app. But we can give ourselves a round of applause because all this going on here has been shortened to, we just have 33 lines of code to achieve this, because one, we made a reusable widget. We have our contact widgets. We created a separate file for it. So in the case where we want to make changes to this widgets, we just need to come into, we don't need to, in the case where we had multiple different kinds of contact screens, so we had contact screen for our favorites, or we have contact screen for numbers that we had blocked or something, we can just easily use this contact widget in all of the files. And in the case where we want to make a change, maybe we want to change the color, we don't want blue accent anymore, maybe we want it black. We just need to come in here, change it in the file, and automatically it's updated, right? We want to change the color of the text, we can do that like so. Oh my God, I was muted. How interesting. Okay. My apologies. So what I was saying before is I was saying what I have been saying. I was pretty much letting you all know the importance of having reusable widgets, how you can just make adjustments to each of the widgets used without having to do that in all of the files that it applies to. So I showed you how we can just change the background color of the container, or change the color of the text, or change the color of the icon without having to do that in all of the files. I think before I was cut off, I was saying that in the case where we had multiple contact screens, say we had a contact screen for our favorites, or we had a contact screen for contacts, for blocked contacts, or just the plain old contact screen, we might want to reuse this contact widget and also make changes along the way. In that case, instead of having to go into all of those files to individually make changes, we can just create a reusable widget that we can go to each file and make whatever changes that we want, and it's going to reflect in every way, in every file that it applies, right? And then I also said that we have successfully made a contact app, even though mine is really, really ugly, but it met all of the requirements for the task for the week. I'm expecting something a lot better from every other person, from all those that submitted. I wasn't able to get a design before the class, and I mentioned that if it's possible, I can beg my designer friends to help come up with something. But please, the next time you meet a designer, tell them well done for the job that they do, because it isn't easy. I mean, just coming up with colors, even though we settled for this ugly color, but just getting the color to use it in our app was a struggle. But yeah, that's it. I hope you were able to learn something in our conversation today. If you do have a question, please don't forget to use the form that's available on the LMS and drop the question, and we'll cover it tomorrow in our office hour. That said, thank you all so much for joining. Do enjoy the rest of your day.